on, guys? Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. How's everybody doing this evening? I'm actually filming my very first. I'm going to do 2 or 3 segments of my first full-on meal prep. So, in this part of the video, I'm actually just getting things set up. We're going to do some cooking, some prepping. I've got a pretty big meal prep haul going on tonight, so I'm getting kind of low on my prepped meals, so we kind of got to get things rolling, but that's okay. Obviously, you can cook in between your meals, of course. This is just to basically add structure, routine, and you have stuff on the go. You grab a container out of the fridge, go out the door. For me, I like to cycle some meals. I typically like to do my meal preps about a week and a half, 2 weeks in advance. This one's it's a pretty big one. We've got a beautiful sirloin tip roast from Pinokin Hills Farms. I'm going to take you for a little walk with me. So what we're doing here is we're going to prep the rice, get everything pre-measured. We're going to do 3 cups of rice, 6 cups of water. I'm using basmati. It's on the lower glycemic index, which means it doesn't spike your blood sugar too badly. Very easy to digest. Works really well for my digestion because I do have a sensitive stomach. We got all of our containers and my handy dandy little meal prep log from this year. So got everything strategically written out and all my measurements because I'm precise in the off season and on season, of course, even more so for the on season. So what I do, just a really good, clean way of cooking. It's a good method. If you have an air fryer, fantastic. Use it. I don't have one, so I like to boil my chicken. So what I do, I got both my chicken packages here, gloves on for safe food handling practices. So what I do is I don't want to overcrowd the pot, so I do it in 2 separate batches. Put about 3 or 4 chicken breasts in each pot so that they have room to move around and boil. And then I got amazing spices. I do cayenne, smoked paprika is amazing, and I slice a lemon in half and I put that in the water. Adds bright. It's a pungent flavor. It's beautiful. So to complement the lemon, of course, I do some bay leaves. I do garlic powder, onion powder, and pink salt and black pepper. So don't be afraid to season your water. Like, the more the better. It's all empty calories, if you will. So just mind how much salt you use, your sodium, but obviously give each pot a good dash of salt. Of course, you want some flavor. But yeah, that's about it. So the start of that. So like I said, I'm gonna get the roast. I'm gonna trim the fat off because I'm obviously very mindful and with my fat content and all my macros. So I'm gonna trim the roast into bite-sized pieces. Put it in the bowl, season it, put that in the fridge. And then phase 2 of the cooking, as you can see, my fridge, it's not too messy. I don't mind showing you guys. We're getting low on meals. This door doesn't like to stay open. But like I said, you can obviously whip something up and cook something if need be. And I've also got 6 meals already in my small freezer. And then we're going to do the extra lean ground chicken. So yeah, it's pretty extensive meal prep. So I've got everything ready. Just want to give you a quick rundown of a meal prep. Show you guys, simple, effective food choices that you can create for yourself every day. You don't have to get fancy. You don't have to. If obviously you want to build layers and flavors, of course. That's the key. Like I said, I'm doing my protein. So I'm doing the red meat, the chicken, 2 types of chicken, of course, and then the rice, the basmati, and then I'm doing frozen chopped spinach. So the only cutting and chopping really is this roast. So other than that, you can steam. Once you're done the chicken, you could um, put the spinach on the stove with a little bit of water. You put a lid on it and let it simmer. So what I typically do to save some time, because the idea here is you don't want your meals to sit out too long, because then it starts to create some bacteria. So with the chicken, of course, being the longest part, I get the water roll boiling. I put the chicken in, heavily season the water. With the Instant Pot, it's what's nice about the Instant Pot. It's pretty fancy. I usually typically use just a small Black and Decker rice cooker. It's just got like a toggle switch, so it automatically knows when to shut the rice off, and it cooks the rice consistently and perfectly. So with the rice setting on the Instant Pot, it's done in about 15-20 minutes the way I set it. So I don't put it on right away. So I make sure what I do, like I was saying, I'll boil the chicken. It's completely thawed, ready to go. It takes usually about probably a little less time than baking it, and it locks in moisture. It doesn't dry out on you. It's amazing. It's a clean, healthy way of preparing your boneless, skinless chicken breast. And there's no bone in there. There's no fat in there, so you know what I mean. It can dry out really quick. I know the air fryers. I'm not too familiar with the air fryers, but I'm sure it doesn't dry out your chicken. But boiling is definitely. I've been doing that now for probably a couple of months, and it's my favorite way to do it now. So once I get that going, I let that probably boil for I don't know, maybe say 20 minutes, and then I get the rice going, and then I load all my containers, which I'll show you in the next segment. So the idea is, like I said, to try and make sure everything is. I try to plate everything at the same time. So I'll show you guys here. I've got. I don't think it was really faster by any means, but I have two scales going on here. So I'll take like two containers. I'll put rice in one, rice in the other one. Then I'll put the protein in the protein, and then of course your vegetables. But I tried that method. I don't know if it really does save time, but because after a while the scales shut off or whatever. So I mean, I think it works. But anyways, so yeah, that's what's going on tonight in my kitchen, in the Iron Dreamy kitchen. My first official huge meal prep. So without further ado, we're going to get started on a little bit of prepping. So with the roast, it's pre-tied. So I'll just cut the strings off. You guys probably can't see too much. I'm the one-man production crew here. So we take the strings off. And like I said, grab yourself a box of vinyl gloves. They're inexpensive. You practice safe food handling. Like I said, I've got like the red meat here separate. I've got chicken over there on its own side. I try to keep things separate and clean and neat. So I'm going to see if I can tilt this down here. Give me a sec. There we go. So like I said, ideally I just watch my fat content. I'm trying to keep, from a bodybuilding standpoint, I'm trying to keep my physique in check in the off season. I mean, don't get me wrong, a little bit of fat's healthy, but we want to make sure we get our fats from really good sources like avocado oil, olive oil, natural peanut butter, uh, almonds. But like I said, this is a sirloin tip roast, so it's relatively lean. So we're just going to trim all the fat off here as best as possible. And then I'm no butcher by any means, but yeah, I got the fat trimmed on the outside. There's a little film here, so we're gonna get cut into that. Like the can't think of it at the top of my head. It's just a thin layer of the what was that? What is this called? I don't even know. I can't think right now. Anyways, I want to say it's like not the tendon, but like I said, you don't have to get too crafty and too technical. For me, I'm just being mindful about, like I said, I don't want too much of a, I don't want too much fat in my diet, but a little fat is okay because it's got flavor, right? So I got myself a pair of food grade scissors. Got them on Amazon. They're awesome, sharp, sharp. Like just for example, I'll show you. It'll cut right through this roast, pretty effortlessly here. See, except for that tissue. But yeah, they're great scissors. So that's one effective tool to have in the kitchen aside from really good knives is having. I love a pair of scissors. I just cut everything into like bite-sized pieces. Like I said, it's easier when you put it in the pan. When you cook it, I try to keep the pieces, relatively the same size. I mean, it's not perfect, but the idea here is saving time when you're cooking it and for digestion purposes. So that's the main two factors. Like I said, this is one of those time-saving methods that you can do. So while you've got the chicken cooking, we can do this, prepare it, season it. We'll let it sit, put it back in the fridge to keep cool. Let those flavors marinate. Actually, these scissors are starting to get, they've seen better. I'm cutting against the grain, not with it. This is, yeah, these scissors have seen better days. Oh, you know what it is? They're loose. Uh-huh. They've been through a couple hundred, if not more, meal preps. Well, folks, you know what we're going to do? Carefully set this down. We're going to get a nice sharp knife that was pre-sharpened, and we're going to go that route. There we go. So like I said, the scissors are handy, but honestly, I would rather use them for the chicken breast. And like I said, those scissors I have, it's the only pair I've had. I don't have any other pairs of scissors. They've been through, like I said, countless meal preps. So like I said, you can either cube it or thinly slice it. You don't have to be fancy with any of this. Like I said, it's just about having that convenience of it. When you throw it in the pan, you cook it. It cooks relatively quick. And like I said, it'll digest easier for you. I mean, I didn't find any extra lean ground beef on sale, so that's why I went with this roast. Well, I had it in the freezer, and I wanted to use it up. So yeah, just like I said, just pieces. This isn't your average cooking show, by the way. I'm no chef by any means, but I love cooking good foods. Like I said, with spices too, like you could get so creative with your spices, with your meats, your proteins, and all that. Like you can, I love to build flavors. Meal preps, like I said, it's clean eating. It's virtually no calories when you start using your spices. Like I start watching my sodium just a little bit when I'm in a contest prep. but nothing too drastic. So I start using a lot of the Mrs. Dash, which is sodium free. And I actually salt my food, so I have control over how much salt I'm putting on my foods. So there we are. So not much waste on this roast. It's like I said, it's relatively lean. You always want to go for like a sirloin tip, um, top sirloin, round roast, inside roast, outside round. Outside round too is relatively a good lower fat cut of meat. So like I said, you don't got to be fancy, or there's no perfection here in this kitchen. I mean, we eat for taste, but we eat for purpose and we eat for function. And protein being a major important key factor of meal prepping and eating good foods. Everything follows behind it, your carbs and your veggies, but prioritize protein. That's why I always work on the protein first. Protein is king. Actually, as I'm cutting this up, this reminds me when I was a kid, I used to help my dad when he used to make his homemade capicolos and prosciutto, salami, and sausages. We used to sit there on his big cutting table, and we had our hands buried in mass amounts of pork and having it all prepared for the machine. That was a good time. Some good old family traditions, you know. Learned a lot from my dad, my nona. My dad's like the master chef in the household. He knows how to deliver in the kitchen with his cooking and his skills. So I paid attention quite a bit. Okay, so that's about a 2 pound roast. We're gonna put this down. Mm-hmm. Let me, like I said, the one-man production crew. Got my tripod here. So yeah, like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect, but look how beautiful that is. Nice roast, locally sourced. It's gonna taste dynamite. This in itself, like I would hate to even mask the flavors with seasonings, but you want some seasonings, of course. So I mean, as you're cooking too, being mindful about your dishes. You know, I don't like to use a lot of stuff, but when you start getting into it, you tend to use a few more things than you would like to, but that's okay. So I typically now I try to clean up as I go along and keep hydrated throughout the day. I went a little backwards here as I was describing how I do things. It's not a big deal because I forgot the water was still trying to come to a boil. We're gonna get the chicken in now. Like I said, not your average cooking show. I was looking for that slapping noise. So yeah, I am going to get the chicken in. Actually, I need a little more water in the one pot. So like I said, don't overcrowd the pots with too much meat. It's gonna slow down the boiling, but that's all right. And you want to fill the pots too. Like once you start putting in the chicken breast, obviously the volume, the water will rise. So let's carefully bring the garbage can over here. I kind of strategically move the garbage can throughout the kitchen wherever I'm working. So let's first, before we handle any raw chicken. We're going to do a bay leaf, one large leaf in each. There we go. I put a lot of my spices in mason jars. Got that from an old cooking show, by the way, with a chef on the Food Network. Okay, so now we're going to go with smoked paprika. Like I said, don't be shy on the seasonings. You know, when you've got the all the seasonings in the water, it definitely will infuse, at least on the outer part of the chicken. But like I said, if you want to put more, the more the better. I do a weird concoction. But they all complement each other. So, like I said, we've got. I wish it's not fresh. I try to use fresh sometimes, but it depends. But when you're just prepping, dried spices and seasonings are just a-okay. So we got powdered ginger. We have smoked paprika. And then for a little kick, we got cayenne. And then we're going to do a good amount, because I love lots. Oh, we're going to put that down. We're going to need that for later. And I just bought some, I got to put these in jars. I usually don't cheap out on spices, but I was had a busy day today. So I just ran out and got the no-name spices. I can leave them in here or put them in the mason jars to be more organized, but they're okay. They got the resealable bags. So, onion powder. Next, we got thyme. But we're not going to waste a lot of time. Bad joke. So this video is all about time, saving time when you're meal prepping. Just little tips and tricks. So we got the black pepper. Like I said, we've got, everybody talks a lot about sodium. I mean, you need it. I just dropped the lid. I'm not editing that out. You need sodium in your diet. It's good for muscle cramping. It's good for you. And especially if you're really physically active like myself, like, if you're a runner, a jogger, if you're in the gym, you need sodium. You sweat it out. You got to replenish with your essential minerals. So, all right. So we've got the water heavily seasoned. And now water's boiling. So what we're going to do, like I said, try to be careful with your foods, of course, like I was saying. Keep the garbage can nearby. Put some gloves on. Go get yourself a pair of gloves, or a box of gloves, I should say. So we're going to drop. These aren't too big. These chicken breasts are relatively smaller. So I'm doing, like I said, it depends on what brand you're going with the chicken breasts. You want to just basically ensure that all the chicken breasts are submerged in the boiling water. So they're actually fitting 5 in each comfortably, which is actually good for me because I don't have to do another. Sometimes I'll do a third pot, but this is better for me. And that's the whole purpose of this video, to show you guys time saving meal prep. No more. So the gloves are done for now. Actually, they're done. No more surgical procedures involved. So yeah, like I said, that chicken, I love to boil it. Like I said, it's a clean, effective method. And when I take it out, I don't have a meat thermometer, so I do the manual check. So I've got a plate on standby here. So oh yeah, and I take a quick peek at the time to see when they went in. So I don't check them right away, but when I feel like they're close to ready, I'll take the thickest chicken breast out and I'll do the manual method. I'll cut the thickest part of the biggest chicken breast. If you don't see that nice shredded sort of look, you know what I mean, like that well cooked, where it's got the fibers, put it back in. If you see any pink whatsoever, if you're not too sure, don't be shy. Put it back in. Like don't question it. And for me too, actually, something I want to mention before I forget, I boil them a lot longer because when I take them out, I grab a potato masher and I put them in the bowl and I mash it so it's shredded chicken. Goes down, like I said, it's easier to digest. When you're on the go, you have a busy lifestyle, if you have a family and kids, uh, if you're busy, you know what I mean? You have them in the fridge, they're in the meal, or they're in the containers, and you can just eat it with a fork. You don't have to worry about knives or anything like that, which is awesome. So the boiling method, boil it for at least 30 minutes, 40 minutes, because the more you boil it, it gets tender and it breaks down just so nicely, and it does not dry out, which is the best part. So while that's going on, actually, as I'm talking and trying to give tutorials here, not a big deal. This is something new I wanted to try this evening. I thought I'd share with you guys, but like I said, bright. It'll it'll brighten the flavors up in the chicken. Very vibrant, if you will. So a half a lemon in each pot. Something I want to give a. So I add a little new addition to my spices, if you will. So yes, now actually, there's nothing wrong. I've already rinsed the rice. Rinsed the rice twice. So we're gonna get that in the water. We'll actually just let it pre-soak for a little bit before I set the Instant Pot on. So I'm cooking, like I said, I've done this so many times. I can't think off the top of my head, but I typically try to cook about for myself. I'm trying to get approximately 15, 18 meals out of this. And then, like I said, in between that with your snacks or your fresh cooked meals. So it's just a nice ballpark figure to have. If you want to set yourself up even for just a week, you know what I mean? If you don't mind leftovers, hey, this is the best way to go. It's healthy. You can keep your meals in the fridge for 4 days. Once it gets past that 4 day mark, I recommend, if they're not all consumed, toss them in the freezer, whatever's remaining. And that's actually what I do. So if I'm down to, like, say, 6 meals and they've been in there for 3 or 4 days, I'm like, okay, I'm going to take 4 or 5 meals out of there. Keep maybe two, for example, behind. And if they have been in the fridge that long, make sure they're well cooked, like hot. So, like I said, we don't want to get sick. We don't want to hurt our stomachs. So now we're grabbing some seasonings, red meat style. I like a little bit of not hot, burn your mouth type heat, but I like a good, you know, a bold flavor that packs a little punch. So we're gonna go with our pink salt, black pepper. We do a little bit of red chili flakes for the kick, garlic powder, onion powder. Almost similar to the chicken. Like I said, it depends on what you're cooking. Fish is a little different. I like to use lots of Lots of lemon in the chicken. So there's the salt. Actually, I lied. We gotta put the gloves back on. Oh, I gotta make more fresh ground pepper. I've got a pepper grinder and peppercorns. So we need some more black pepper. Lots of black pepper on the meat. But like I said, I don't want to over spice this meat because of the beautiful flavor, because I know it's local and it's going to be absolutely amazing. Oh, we're really kicking it up. And lately I've been on this kick with all my sweet treats. I've been on a kick with pumpkin spice. There's 4 different spices in there. They're amazing, and they've got added health benefits. But I've been loving smoked paprika. And oh, look at that, there's a little chunk here. Here we go. Simple, really. Your crushed red pepper flakes, salt and pepper, smoked paprika, onion powder, garlic powder, done. And that's it. It's nothing too intense. There. So we're going to grab 1 glove, give it a mix, throw it in the fridge. Put that away for now. The ground chicken, I've got the extra lean ground chicken. For that, I'm just going to keep it very simple. I'm going to use some lemon pepper. So I'm just going to use the Mrs. Dash, then add some salt to it. But this is a really good seasoning. They've got like 3 or 4 different kinds out there. The garlic and herb is fire. Okay, so we're just going to put 1 glove on for this. Just give it a good toss in the bowl. Almost like you're mashing potatoes with your hands. You want to make sure those spices are embedded in the meat. So mix it around, squish the meat in your hands. Nice. Good mix. There we go. That's nice. And red meat, zinc, iron, creatine, natural occurring creatine in red meat. And I believe I read something the other day. It's in some fish too. Yeah, I can't wait. This is going to be good. All right. Okay. No more gloves. I go through about, I don't know. Well, it depends on what I'm doing too. So, that's going in the fridge. So let that chill for a little bit. Don't want to leave it out too long. I mean, just want to wait for that chicken to be done. Because, as I was saying, I mean, I kind of want to, I mean, it's not going to be, you know, exactly, everything's going to be done at the exact same time. But the idea here is to, oh, my plastic wrap is a disaster. You want everything done relatively around the same time. Because like I said, when you, especially from a meal prep standpoint, you want to start plating everything back to back to back. And you want the rice to sit out and cool for a bit too, once it's out of the rice or the Instant Pot. And from what I've read in several articles is that, there we go, nice and sealed. From what I read on numerous articles, and I like I said, I study things, I research everything all the time. They say maximum 2 hours your food should not sit out for no more than that. For me, I think I typically leave the food out for about an hour, and that's probably the happy medium. Put that back in the fridge. Let's check on the let's check the good old chicken breasts out. There we go. Look at that. Looking good. See, nice seasoned water. Like I said, don't be shy on that seasoning. The more, the merrier. Put those there. Well, oh, I was trying to figure out what to say. Also, another cool little trick. So for the rice in your ricer or Instapot, what you can do is same as a chicken. Throw a seasoning in there. I don't have any, unfortunately. I forgot to buy some at the grocery store. But a really good combination for your rice would be like cilantro and lime with some garlic. You can do turmeric, which I ran out of. I forgot that today. So I'm going to do a little different take here. I'm going to do, of course, I'm going to do my smoked paprika, and I'm going to blend it with ginger powder. But like I said, the added benefits of ginger, it's so good for inflammation, bloating, digestion. So I'm just going to keep it pretty simple because I don't believe, as I'm looking here, yeah, I don't have any. But yeah, I don't. It's all right. Or you can just go really basic and just do a little S&P. Nothing wrong with that. But yes, season your water in the rice cooker. When it cooks and steams under that pressure, man, locks in flavors. So good. I go through so much of this. I got that one right there. President's choice. Alrighty, folks. Okay, we're in good shape. I've got my bowl where I'm going to put the chicken in. And this handy little gadget I bought the other day, your potato masher, the chicken. Another added benefit to shredding your chicken, you get a tricep workout in. So that's ready, prepared. And now the chicken's been on for a while. So just putting this on here. I don't know why this is. I don't know what it is. But every time I try to put the lid on. So anyways, we have a setting here. We press rice. It's on low pressure. Take the keep warm. Yeah, so once it's done, it'll automatically release the pressure, or you can manually release it. Just wait, let it sit. There's a keep warm button if you wish to do so. Auto, ready to go. So like I said, by the time that is done cooking, and by the time it does cool off, like I said, it needs to come down to temperature a bit before going into the fridge to avoid bacteria and hurting the old gut. So, part one of my first official off-season full-on meal prep that I figured I'd like to share with you guys. Raw, unfiltered, no edits. Trying to find my words. But yes, we're going to discuss a few more things about nutrition, a little bit about bodybuilding. So I hope you guys enjoy the videos. Stay tuned for lots of more content. Healthy snacks, great food choices, how to make dieting and bodybuilding and fitness fun and enjoyable for yourself and the whole family. It doesn't have to be boring, like I said. And the reason why I gave myself my own name, the Rice King, I just gotta. That's why. That's why. So I'm gonna have some pretty cool, crazy concoctions of rice cake toppers that you can do. You know, we're sweet, savory, salty, but I've always got that sweet tooth, especially this time of day. Anyways, Iron fam and fitness goers alike, I think I'm just going to let that go for a bit, monitor the chicken, the rice is on. There's not much to do right now. However, stay tuned and I will be back for segment 2.